Okay, I'm sure you're preparing for DRDO Scientist C and you have prepared the subject operating system. So let's start your interview. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what all topics have you covered in operating systems?
And first, uh, process synchronization, deadlock, memory management, and process concept.
Okay, process synchronization. What is synchronization?
Then coordination between the execution of the statement and in such a way that no two process use the shared variable at the same time.
Okay, and if the process use the shared variable, then
Then there is a chances of inconsistency in the system or loss of data or maybe deadlock happen.
okay. So only inconsistency is required for deadlock to happen.
No, ma'am, deadlock also happen when the resource is not sufficient to allocate to the process.
Okay, only one condition is required for the deadlock.
No, ma'am, there are four conditions. If we uh, satisfy for any of the four conditions, then we set to it is a deadlock. One is mutual exclusion, no preemption, holden wait, and circular wait.
Okay, and in synchronization mechanism, something we call shared memory. Some name is given to shared
And
memory.
critical section it is named as common piece of shared.
Yes, and we suffer some problem in critical section. So what that problem is called?
In critical section, race around condition is there.
Okay, what is race around condition?
Now, when we are executing suppose we had two process and we first executing first process and then second, then the answer is coming something. And if we executing second process and then executing first process, then the answer is different from the first answer that we got. This called is the race around condition. The execution of the process and the result are different, depend on the execution of the process.
Okay, and in deadlock there is mutual exclusion. And
Yes, ma'am.
in synchronization also we see that a mutual exclusion should be followed. So what is the difference between the two?
Now, in a deadlock, there is a resources we said that the key that at a one time in the common shared variable or the resource that we are using, we allocate only one at a time, one for one process at a time in deadlock. And whereas in synchronization, there is a process at one time one process is going to in the critical section, another not.
I want to reframe my question. Suppose in synchronization, I applied mutual exclusion, and after that, I got synchronized, but I got deadlocked with mutual exclusion. So, is it correct that I am deducting?
After satisfying the condition of mutual exclusion, may possible in synchronization that the answer may get inconsistent. If we satisfy only mutual exclusion, then it is not guaranteeing that the synchronization of the two processes happen.
Okay. And if we
We
satisfy progress also, then
then we also not said that synchronization happen. Ma'am, it has four conditions: bounded weight and hardware is hardware. No assumption hardware we required also for all the four conditions we required.
okay. And if all the four conditions we get, and then we get the deadlock, is there any such possibility?
No, ma'am, then there is no possibility.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How can we prevent deadlock?
Ma'am, we prevent deadlock if we have a four condition: mutual exclusion, no preemption, hold and wait, and circular wait. If any of the four condition we dissatisfy, then we have prevent the deadlock.
Okay, and what all measures we can take to satisfy this condition?
Measures. And we preempt the resources that I might not understand the question exactly.
I said that for prevention, you said that mutual exclusion, hold and wait, any of the condition, if it doesn't satisfy, it prevents, right? So what
Yes.
measures we can take? How to exclude, like how to control hold and wait?
Suppose one process is uh, uh, one process is having 10 resources, holding 10 resources, and want two resources, and another process having holding two processes and want 10 processes. Then we have to wait that process who want to take 10 resources and continue to execute two resources at after executing first process execute the execution is completed, then it leaves the 12 resources in all. A 10 is holding and 2 or they get. Then total 12 she left. They left resources and they so that the more resources available so that the other processes execute. And one is the if we can kill also processes, we kill the process also on the basis of the resource allocation. The sources that maximum allocated to the process and not getting the process for the longer time, not getting the resources for longer time that it needed, then we also kill that process so that the other process may execute.
Okay, what is the difference between killing a process and preempting a process?
And killing in the process means we in the future we never get it again. But preemptively means we execute some of the part of the process and then again after some time we again back in the running execution state for its execution, remaining execution time.
Is really killing required, or we can work with only preemption also?
Sometimes it's required when the system we see that that in future the system may goes into deadlock or the deadlock may happen if we uh, may deadlock happen in system. That's why we have to kill. But all time we had not to kill for. If we manage with the preemption, then we go with the preemption as we have to kill the process if the system goes in deadlock.
Okay, you said you studied memory management, right?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
in memory management, what is paging?
And paging is the concept when we use to convert the logical address into physical address. Means logical address mapping to the physical address mapping.
How do we map it?
Then we have first the logical address space we divide into pages and maintain the page table. In number of entry in the logical address space is same as the number of entry in the page table. And we have the physical address space. We also divide into equal size of pages as in the logical address space. In logical address, we call it as page, and in logical address space we call it as frame. Then to represent that number of frames the bits required in the page table, one is the number of entries and in the entries the frame number is there. That's combined the page table form, and these page table is reside in the physical address space. And now the suppose CPU generate the logical address. The logical address consists of two part. One is offset part and one is the page. page number part. The page number part, we go to page table, corresponding page number at that place we take out fetch the frame number and replace the page number with the frame number, and the offset bit remains the same, and we add up, then fetch uh, the page that we want in the main memory
What is
physical address.
TLB?
Ma'am, TLB is sometimes we call it something we call as the cache, that we have a cache memory before the main memory to reduce the effective memory access time.
Okay, can we use it in paging?
Yes, ma'am, we use in paging it because in paging we have to access memory two times. One is for the page table and one is for the accessing the page. But in TLB, we while using TLB, we use TLB at that time, and if the page hit is there, if the page is found in the TLB, then we can say that it is hit and directly go to memory, so that memory accesses only one time. But if we not found the TLB, then again we have to go to page table and then to access physical address.
Okay, and what is inverted paging?
Ma'am, inverted paging is used to ma'am, one is the drawback of paging is there, that every process has the has its own page table. In paging, every process has its own page table, and all operating all of them. Ma'am, 1 minute, I am nervousing.
No, you
Ma'am,
don't have to imagine. You can
ma'am,
answer.
ma'am, 1 minute. I need 1 minute break only. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, in paging, we have a different page table for the different processes. But in inverted paging, we have maintained only one page table for all the process. Means in inverted paging, there are we have a number of entries equal to the number of entries in the physical address space, and all the page size in the physical address space and the page size in logical address space are same. Now, the number of pages divided in the physical address space, to address them, we need the bit. Now, in page table, the number of entry equal to the physical address space, and in the cell page table entries, we have the frame numbers. So
Okay,
combined,
what is the main objective that we are using inverted paging? Already we were having paging, right? And it
ma'am,
was
the
working nice only. Why to go for inverted paging? Yeah.
ma'am, inverted paging is basically come that we have if we have a more process, then we have to reduce the size of the for each process we have to maintain in the previous paging we have to maintain page table for each process, but in inverted paging we only frame one page table for all the processes in the system.
So you are reducing the size of the page table, right?
Yes, yes, to effectively use the memory,
Oh,
but the access time in inverted paging is more than the paging.
okay, Priyanshu. So let's move on to the feedback. So I think you are quite prepared with the subject. I felt like you got confused in deadlock, especially when I asked questions from
Mutual.
synchronization and deadlock. There, but I thought you got confused.
I mean mutual
Uh,
exclusion part.
yeah, mutual exclusion part. So actually, in synchronization, there is a possibility that we can, in like, if we are doing all the necessary conditions of synchronization, there is a possibility that we can go to deadlock. But it is not that it always it will go, but there is a possibility that it can go to the deadlock condition. Okay.
Okay.
And I asked you how can you prevent deadlock? So I didn't got a very like good answer, I felt like, because in deadlock for this hold and wait, we usually go for like hold or wait this condition and like process must request and be allocated to all resources prior to its commencement. You have heard ever like this kind of line?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Or like process must release all the resources before making a new request.
In the increasing order of their number,
And in
the
this
process can.
circular weight we use, in circular weight we use like in increasing order or decreasing orders, the resources should be allocated. But in hold and wait, we generally apply that the resources should be allocated prior to its commencement, or they should release all the resources before making any new request.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think what you told was somewhat part of the recovery, like detection and recovery part, killing the processes. We generally don't do that in prevention. We do that after the deadlock has already happened. Okay.
Okay.
I think memory management part was okay. You answered it nicely and correctly. That was good.
Okay.
You want to ask something?
I am 50-50 or above
No, no, no,
15.
not 50-50. You can be said like 70 or 80. It was good. Few places you can revise more. Okay. I
Means
think revision
synchronization.
anyways will be required. And revision and practice. Like in between you got nervous. So this should not happen. Even if you are like nervous, don't tell that I am nervous. Just say I need a second to recall. You can say like that if you are not able to recall or something.
Okay.
Anything else?
No,